All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Blockbuster movie review. As always, I have my co-host with me today. His name is Richard Brown. Richard, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hey everybody, Richard Brown from the great state of South Carolina, formerly. It's kind of like I'm halfway here, halfway in North Carolina right now. So I'll make it official at some point. But right now, I guess I'm still hailing South Carolina for the moment. So,
All right. So today we're discussing a little movie that came out this weekend. I don't know if anybody's heard about it. What was that movie, Richard? Sisters, was it?
I think it was Alvin and the Chipmunks actually.
Possibly those were the two worst release dates, Sisters and Alvin and Chipmunks.
Oh yeah, man.
Because Star Wars: The Force Awakens came out this weekend. Came out actually Wednesday at midnight, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which they projected to have the biggest opening record box office sales ever for a movie to come out. Supposed to eclipse the rest of the world by a couple of $100 million. So I'll be excited to see if that actually happens.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So just want to go ahead and let you know that spoilers are going to be given throughout this podcast here. So if you haven't seen the movie, you might want to turn it off. Usually I give a spoiler alert in the midway through the show so you know when to turn it off, but pretty epic movie. I don't know when it's going to happen, so be prepared. That's all.
I'll tell you, we'll discuss our thoughts about the movie, then we should go right into the spoilers because there were some pretty big moments in that movie, and yeah.
But all right, go ahead. Give me your thoughts on the movie, Richard.
All right, I'm gonna be honest. I like the movie. The thing about this movie is that it did everything right, and to some degree, there's a fault in it. And the reason why I say that is because this movie, despite how well the characters were, let me rephrase that, how well the heroes were fleshed out. This movie is practically like watching episode 4 all over again. In a good way, because they changed enough of it up to where it doesn't feel like how Jurassic World felt, where you were watching the exact same movie over again. The difference is that the characters you actually cared about, like Daisy Ridley, she did a phenomenal job in her role as the new hero archetype. John Boyega, actually, I think to me is my favorite character because to me it seemed like he had the most realistic motivation out of all of them. Poe Dameron, who was played by Oscar Isaac, who's also Apocalypse in the new X-Men movie.
Oh, they did that.
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job too, and he was one of the people that I really wish I could have seen a little bit more of. Adam Driver, I liked his portrayal of Kylo Ren. The only problem is I didn't understand his motivation completely. Like that was something that, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit later, but I liked what he did with that character because I thought he was going to be a Vader clone, and he was not. I think he honestly is kind of what I would have wanted from Anakin Skywalker in the prequels, kind of like showing how he kind of was going down that dark path. Special effects were great. Cinematography was great. The story, like I said, is very, very familiar. The thing that I didn't like about the movie, and this is going to sound like a gripe, because overall I really enjoyed it. The thing I didn't like about it was there were things that were held onto that, as far as like from a sequel standpoint, the things that were held onto that to me, I thought were it. Let me rephrase that. This is going to be a case of whether or not either it was brilliant or very, very lazy writing, because there are things that are being held out and you're like, oh, okay, well, they're saving that for episodes 8 and 9. Well, let's say if they don't get to it, or let's say it's not even as big of a deal as they're making it sound like it's going to be, then it's going to really suck. And then you go back and look at this movie like 4 or 5 years later and be like, yeah, that was stupid. I don't know why they left that out. There were a couple of characters in the movie, like, for example, to me, I think none of the villains were really fleshed out very, very well. Kylo Ren was probably the best one, and that's as far as it goes. Captain Phasma, the Chrome Stormtrooper lady, that was pretty much like, it was supposed to be Boba Fett for the modern day, and it completely was a waste, at least for now. Like, we'll see how it plays out in the next 2 movies. The Emperor archetype in this movie, to me, was kind of a waste. Like, I would have liked to see a little bit more of that character. And then the Imperial officer dude, General Hux. He was good, but nothing really great about him. So I mean, I really liked it. Just the flaws for me about that movie were that it was very familiar. It did everything right, but it was almost like it felt sometimes like it was actually manufactured. It was like I don't know. I guess the way to say it is like you can tell it's part of Disney's marketing machine to make $6 billion in 5 years. That's kind of what it felt like. But I really enjoyed it. It blows the pants off of all the prequel movies by far. When you go back and think about the prequels, it's like, they were cool back in the day because, you were like, ooh, lightsabers, yay. But now it's like when you start getting into actually character development and story, they really didn't do very much. And this movie, even though, yes, it is practically a retread of the original, of elements of pretty much the first movie in Empire Strikes Back, there are elements of both of those in there. It does a good job to make you care about the characters that you're actually watching. So I definitely say I'd recommend seeing it. I'm actually going to see it tomorrow again. So yeah.
Oh wow. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I think it was an excellent movie. Do I give it the epic status? No, I do not. It's definitely one of those ones I would recommend. You have to go see it in theater to fully appreciate it, though. I'm on the same boat with you. I don't think it is a 100% retelling of A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back, but you can sit down and think about, wait a minute, didn't they do that in the fourth episode? Wait a minute,
right.
Didn't they already do that before? I was having those moments again, but I would have to talk this up to a very well-written script, unlike 1, 2, or 3 episodes. And these are just all my opinions.
Yeah.
I was telling the people I went with, I could go without ever seeing 1, 2, and 3 ever again and just stick with 4, 5, 6, and 7.
You're right.
Because when watching the movie, I was sitting down, what from those first 3 movies do I need to know to make this movie relevant? And I couldn't think of anything. Nothing in those first 3 movies were relevant to this 7th movie. So if you've only seen 3, 4, and 5, and 6, I'm sorry, 4, 5, and 6.
You can kind of say 3. You can kind of throw 3 in there.
The making of Darth Vader, yes, is kind of important.
Yeah,
kind of important. But you got to think about it. When you saw A New Hope, you didn't know how Darth Vader became.
Pretty much. So I mean, I'm with you there. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, no problem. It's an open discussion. So yeah, it comes like this summer's movies were so weak that this movie is going to be ranked very high because I'm basing it, and I'm jumping ahead. I'm basing on what the body of work we had this summer. Like, right. I feel as though if this movie came out in 2014, it would be middle of the pack. Still a great movie, but it would be middle of the pack.
I would agree. Yep, I would definitely agree.
But since it came out this year, I would put it at number 1, number 2, because this movies this year were just so incredibly weak that there's really nothing else out there that can pretty much say, yeah, go see this other than Star Wars. But that's a different part of the show. And talking about the villains in this movie, Kylo Ren, I believe, is the main antagonist this time around. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Like, I was waiting for him to be Darth Vader-esque. I was wanting him to be more Vader. And then as the movie started to play out, I was kind of happy that he wasn't some type of human with android. Oh, I'm sorry. Spoiler.
Well, it's not really. I mean, you're telling his makeup. I mean, it's not like you're telling what he actually did. So
okay,
you're good.
Yeah, he's not a human with some android parts that needs a breathing apparatus to get around. But he was kind of cool with all his force powers that he displayed. I can't remember some of the force things that he did in the movie that were in the previous 6 episodes. So I was like, oh, okay. That's kind of cool.
Hey, that we can get to it, but that first one he did, I was like, yo, that's all right.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, his lightsaber, if you saw the trailer, you already knew what his lightsaber can do, but his lightsaber, I always felt as though that the lightsabers are a reflection of the emotions that the characters or wielding them are.
I would agree.
And especially with the color, like the evil ones always had red, the ones that signified new beginnings had your brighter, more fluorescent color lightsabers. So I felt as though that his lightsaber really did fit his character, and I'm going to pause that thought because I want to come back to it in the spoiler section of the movie. I felt as though as watching this movie, I related back and forth with the characters. I really felt invested. I want to know what was going to happen to. I don't want to give it away. I want to know what was going to happen to characters as the movie was going on. I didn't feel as though in this movie I could care less who dies, who lives, who becomes the hero, who becomes such and such. This movie, I was like, I really want to know what is going to happen next in this movie. Very, very great script. When it comes down to acting abilities, I'd never heard of the guy who played Finn before. You said his name earlier. I don't know it.
John Boyega.
I never seen him in anything else, but I thought that he did a very, very good job. I always chalk it up to people who are doing their first movie to The Marine with John Cena. Like, do you stare directly at the camera to deliver your lines? Yes or no? That's the first thing I look for. And I felt as though he had a very good stage presence. And if you don't want to know what I'm talking about, go and watch The Marine, and you will see John Cena literally do something, turn and look dead at the camera, say his line, and go back to doing something. It is horrible acting. So I felt as though that the actors in this movie did a very good job. Shout out to Carrie Fisher. I didn't know where they found her. I didn't know she was still alive. So it was glad to see her make a comeback in this movie. So I really can't say nothing else without giving spoilers. So let's go ahead and give a disclaimer. We're about to spoil the movie.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Like I was saying earlier, I really wanted to know who was going to be the martyr in this movie. Like, why are the heroes in this movie having their conflict to seek vengeance against the First Order? Like, what is going to cause them to want to put down the First Order? So what happens if you haven't seen the movie by now is that you find out that Kylo Ren is the son of Leia and Han Solo. And throughout the movie, you see that Kylo Ren is struggling with the light side and the dark side. And he's doing a creepy thing where he's talking to a mask of Vader and a skull, as well as Vader, saying, "Can you show me more of the dark ways?" Because he's seen the light again. And so you kind of have that essence back and forth early in the movie. Unlike in the original series, you just thought Vader was a original badass bad guy. Yeah. Now you know that, okay, Kylo Ren was light, but then he turned dark. So you want to know, hey, as this plays out, will he come back to the light? Or because they said, come see me so we can finish your training in the dark side. I forgot the guy's name that was in the chair.
Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yeah, Supreme Leader. Yeah, he asked him to come back so we can finish your training in the dark side. So there's that element in the movie. Also, it was a big surprise as who was going to be the Jedi. Like, I tried to read as little as possible, but by seeing the trailer, I thought Finn was going to be the Jedi that came out. But
the closer the movie got to its release, the more I thought it was going to be a red herring. I was like, because they're playing it up too much to make it seem like Finn's going to be that guy. Like, he just happens to have the lightsaber. And, you know, the thing pretty much everybody knows now is that Rey is the one that actually has the Force calling to her. And the reason why I kind of was like, I can kind of see that is because if you look at the trailer, look at the main poster, her and Kylo Ren, like Kylo Ren's saber and her staff are kind of in parallel. So there's some imagery going on with the two of them being somehow related. I don't think they're brother and sister. I think they've scrapped that line from, they brought Kylo Ren into the fold because in the expanded universe, Han and Leia's son was Darth Caedus, who was evil, and then their daughter was the good one. I don't think they're going to play that out exactly. I think they're related. If they're not, I'd be shocked. Because if let me put it this way, if Rey is actually Han and Leia's kid, they are probably some of the worst parents I have ever seen, because they just drop their kids off on planets and like, bye. You know, and they're old, so it's not like they did this like 2 years ago. When like this is like 20, 30 years in the making, and you know they're like, yeah, well, you know, one went to the dark side, we'll drop this one off too. Screw that.
Interesting point that you put it out there. I don't think they're brother and sister. I think they're definitely first cousins.
I think they're cousins. Yep.
Yeah,
I definitely
we're going to find out later on that it was Luke when he went to go start the Jedi Academy. He didn't want his daughter to be at the Jedi Academy to learn how to use the Force, so he banished her off on the planet Jakar. I mean, still pretty shitty parenting, but
yeah, it's like everybody. It's like their whole like the Skywalker family is just like a bunch of illegitimate children. It's like wow, yeah. All right. So going back into Kylo Ren, this was the part that I didn't get about him, is because his motivation was that he was struggling between the light and the dark and this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, I got it. I got you. I understand why you're doing what you're doing. But here's my problem with it, is that when he eventually, like, there's that one scene where he goes on a temper tantrum pretty much, and they really don't get into why he's so upset. And that was kind of the thing that I was like, okay, I mean, I understand you're pissed, but it makes him look like he's just a kid with affluenza than a kid who actually has some legitimate problem, because he really didn't cover it. I mean, I'm sure they're going to get into the backstory of it, but the big thing that kind of gets me to wonder about what actually happened is the fact that, you know, he takes out Han Solo. That's the thing. That was the thing that I was kind of like, okay, well, if you went that far, something had to have happened that put you to that place or got you to that point, because it looks like he and Han Solo were close at some time, and now it's like, well, you know, that was probably, I expected it. And the only reason why I say I expected it, because again, it was once they were on that bridge, and it was pretty much like the same kind of setup as what do you
Empire
call it?
Strikes Back.
Yeah, pretty much like Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, it's like the same general setup, and I was like, well, this is not about to be good. I was either thinking Empire Strikes, but I was also thinking about in A New Hope, when Obi-Wan was kind of walking towards Vader. It was like, oh, okay, well, we know this isn't going to end well. So, and you know, he takes him out, and it was probably it was very touching, because when Kylo asked Han to like take his lightsaber, and he still held on to it, and Han looked like, yep, this is it. And then, you know, then he stabs him with it, and it's like, oh man, okay, so that just happened. And the only reason, and here's my gripe about that, I mean, I don't think Han Solo's death, at least in the way that it's portrayed right now, wasn't necessary, because the only reason why I say that is I know in the back scenes of things, Han Solo's death was pretty much because Harrison Ford did not want to ever be Han Solo again. So to make sure that didn't happen, he said, I'm pretty sure in the contract, it's like, yeah, if I come back, I have to die. Like, I cannot survive this. Like, I have to go out, you know, dead. Like, there's no other way that I could go out. So now he never has to be at Comic-Con. He never has to be anywhere. Like, he literally can just be, you know, the guy who almost played Indiana Jones in the fourth movie. So, you know, I mean, it was really, really touching. But that was the one thing about Kylo Ren I never understood, is that they never really went into what made him so mean, like what made him so angry. Because even when Han was talking to him about Supreme Leader Snoke and saying, hey, look, you know, this dude's going to hurt you at the end of the day. He's just using you for your power. And Kylo even knew that. Well, his name was Ben, but, you know, Kylo's name, you know, he knew what was going on. So I'm kind of wondering, what is his general motivation? What made him kind of be seduced that way? Because even, like, for example, I know, like we say, you don't have to watch the prequels, but Vader or Anakin was motivated by something. It was terribly written, but was motivated to try to save his family to do what he was doing. This dude just seems like he's a kid on a temper tantrum right now, so I need some more backstory as to why he's so pissed. You know, that was the one thing when I walked out of the movie. It's like, yeah, I mean, it was good, but like the main villain's motivation, I don't get. Everyone else's I pretty much got. His was the only one, and you could tell it's going to be eventually about his redemption. The redemption story is going to be how this is going to work. But you know, you killed your own pop, so it's kind of like, I don't know how you're going to be redeemed for that, but okay. You know, it's cool. I'm trying to think of something like some other big.
Let's talk about the new force powers that we saw.
Oh yeah, hey, that first one.
Yeah.
That was hard.
The opening sequence is basically they're on the planet Jakar, and the pilot Pope is his name, I believe.
Poe Dameron, yeah. Pope.
Yeah. He's out there and he's trying to find the map to where Luke Skywalker is to help the Resistance take down the new Imperial force, which is called, and it always escapes my mind. What's the name of it again? Yeah, First Order. Yeah. So basically, the First Order finds out that the map is on Jakar. They land on Jakar. A battle ensues, and then we get to see the new Sith Lord, the new villain, come out of the plane for the first time. And he's talking about eradicate everybody. Let's find this map so we can get out of here. Time passes, action ensues, and then all of a sudden we see that Pope is taking a shot at Kylo Ren, and he uses the Force to stop the laser beam. I was like, "Whoa, okay."
Hey, when I saw that, I was like, "All right, I see where this is going." Okay.
And then what made it so cool is that in previous versions of this movie, the Force, you know, the person always had to hold their hand up to keep it there, to keep whatever they were trying to do, like a choke or a grab or whatever. Lift an object or something, they always had to hold their hand up and like hold it in place. But this guy he held his hand up, stopped it, and you know, turned around and kept doing something else. He didn't even care about this. I'm like, okay, this dude is serious right now. Like,
right.
My only gripe with the movie is that with the villain Kylo Ren, I'm like, yo, you introduced this one badass power and then that's it. Like, the next thing you introduced was he can read minds. Let's go back to some of this Force stuff. Let's make him suspend stuff in animation. All right, we saw it again where they were on I forgot the name of that planet, where they were fighting the Resistance, and he pinned the girl's arm behind her back and then pulled her over to her like he was a pimp or something. Just said, "Come over here," and then took her on his ship. And I was like, "Yo, come on, I need some more stuff like that." That was kind of hot because we know, in A New Hope, when they were on the Death Star and Vader stuck his hand across and choked the dude out, stuff like that with these new Force powers.
You know, and see, and that, I guess that was the other little. That's like it's one of those things. Like movies like these, you have to hit the "I believe" button so many times because a lot of instances can be easily solved with things you already did previously. So why didn't you do those now? So it's like for example, him fighting. This is why I think Finn is still I think he's Force sensitive or something, because if you can pull an entire person to you, why can't I just pull a lightsaber straight out of your hand? You know what I mean? I just so I mean, unless and apparently it's supposed to be that like only a Force sensitive person supposed to be able to use a lightsaber, but then again, Han Solo used one in Empire Strikes Back to cut open the Tauntaun. So yeah, it's like there were things that were like, okay, well, you did it now, why can't you do that same thing here too? It's like it's little stupid stuff, but it's not nothing to really complain about. I'm trying to think what what did you think about the lightsaber combat?
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that. That was going to be my next thing I was going to get into. So in the previous movies, especially the 4, 5, and 6, the lightsaber combat was more of a storytelling combat. It was a struggle between good and bad.
Right.
It wasn't more of an art form. And then the prequels, 3, 2, and 1, the lightsabers were basically showing who's good, who's evil, who's New Hope, who's in between and whatnot. And this time around, the lightsabers were actually weapons.
I will say They did a phenomenal job. It's like they did stuff that you would actually do if you had a sword that if it touches anything, it would hurt. Like
Yes.
it was little things, and what made it cool is that in each of the fights, every person fought differently. Like Kylo Ren had his own little things. He spin his sword around a lot, which I kind of like that little flare thing he was doing. And then Finn, he was very hard, and like he really didn't have very much finesse. He was like, I'm trying to just kill this dude because I have this giant beam weapon. And then you have when Rey took the lightsaber finally, it was like I expected that saw it coming from a mile away. But when Rey took the weapon, it was like she was a little more graceful. But still it was not the choreographed sequences. Like, for example, like if you go back and look at episodes 1, 2, and 3, you will clearly see that they're hitting blades for the sake of hitting blades. In this movie, it looks like they are actually trying to attack or kill the other person, while and it's much more emotive. It looks more like, the best way to describe it is it reminds me of the last fight in Return of the Jedi. It looks more along that level, because it's not so much a fact of, it's like, it's storytelling, yes, but like you said, it's like you're using it as a weapon to actually cut this person in half. Because even the part when he took when Kylo and Finn were locked in sabers, and then Kylo had the best of them and put the saber against his shoulder. I was like, see, that's the stuff you would expect to see if someone, like, if you're locking blades, it's like, yeah, just keep pressing into the guy. Eventually, you're gonna slice him in half if he's weak. So like, they did all the things that I expected. So yeah, that was awesome.
And also a huge improvement to the lightsabers this time around was that the lightsabers, if it touched you, it was an automatic dismemberment this time around. Because in previous battles, Darth Maul got cut in half with one swell swoop. I mean, your blade, if it is a real sword with metal blade, has to be super sharp to cut through bone and flesh in one swoop. Even a blade will get stopped somewhere. So I kind of like that a lightsaber didn't cut completely through somebody, because
it was. I think that to me was a little, not a little much, but I think that was like, okay, like you don't want to, like, you didn't want to like completely maim the guy. But Kylo Ren to get his hand cut off, I think he did at the end of the movie. I gotta look when I see it again. I gotta look again.
You see, okay, I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking I saw something that looked like a hand.
Yeah, because I was like, something flew off, and I was like, was that his hand? Because I didn't see it fast enough, but I think he got his hand taken out.
But definitely he has a scar across his face, correct?
That's correct, yeah. So there's going to be, so it looks like they gave him a reason now to wear the mask, because before he didn't really have a reason. He was wearing a mask because,
and shout out to Kylo Ren, because he's the only person I know that can take a helmet off and have salon perfect hair.
Everybody's talking about that.
It's like, yo, what type of shampoo conditioner this dude uses? I don't have much hair left, but I would like to use it.
Yeah, man, because everybody said the same thing. It's like, yeah, well, how do you take your helmet off and your hair is still like immaculate? Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
No, not even salon perfect. Like, fresh out the salon with that hair. I was like, yo, kind of jealous right now.
Yeah.
All right, so let's roll into the most important part of the show, the ranking and what's coming up for 2016. So the ranking for this movie, easy A. I mean, like I said earlier in the show, there really wasn't much to judge it upon. I don't give this movie top billing this year, because still, hands down, Mission Impossible 5 was the best movie I saw this year, but definitely an A-worthy title. Must see in theaters. Not definitely go see it in theaters, but a must see in theaters. If you don't watch it in theaters first, you're shortchanging yourself.
I'm gonna have to give this movie a B+. I don't think I give it an A. And the only reason why is because I think they played it safe. Like, with what they did in the movie, they had great visuals, great storytelling, and the characters themselves you actually cared about. This movie did exactly what Jurassic World should have done. Like, they brought in nostalgia, but at the same time didn't beat it over your head. Like, they threw in little things like when Ray was talking about what do you call it? When Ray was talking about, oh, this is the Millennium Falcon, the ship that made the Kessel Run of 14 parsecs, and then Han corrected her and said 12. You know, it's like little nods they put in the movie that were, you know, emulating the original, you know, that are still emulated, but from the original saga. The thing about this movie that is why I put it a step down is because a lot, like for specifically the villains, their motivations weren't fleshed out, and then on top of that, if you literally look at the core of what episode 4 was, which was about a boy in a desert who has to realize his greater purpose in the world, and he is brought to his calling by a person who existed in another time to battle an evil force that is trying to take control of the galaxy. It literally goes through the same exact thing. So it's not saying that like you're watching a movie and it's like literally like, oh, checkbox here, checkbox here, checkbox here, but but a lot of the same archetypes and tones throughout the movie are already there. The one thing I will say though is that I think they did play it safe here. I hope the next movie they do not, because I do not want this to literally be the Empire Strikes Back redub for the next one. I'd like J.J. Abrams, but I think that with the new guy who's coming, I forgot, and I can't think of his name right now, but the new guy who's coming, I think he's going to do a much better job of the movie than Abrams is going to, because Abrams pretty much, if you look at all of his movies, they're all copycats. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm not saying this stuff is bad, but like if you look at Super 8 and some of the other things he's done, like they're really, really just, he takes the good parts out of other people's movies and adds a little bit of his own flair to it and then throws it out there. So he's kind of like, almost like a BASF. I don't know if you remember that from way back when. It's like, we don't make things, we just make things better. Yeah. Yeah, I think I think J.J. Abrams is kind of that type of director. I think, but I definitely think he did a great job doing this movie, hands down. To me, it's a B+. One last thing, though, I got to say, though, is if you are going into this movie to see Luke Skywalker, that is all you're going to get. You will see him. And that is it. Like I told my dad, like my dad asked me about if Luke Skywalker's in the movie. See, yeah, he's in the movie. And that's it. So I didn't spoil anything else for him, but he asked me that one question specifically, and I told him, so if you want to know, I'll tell you. So yeah, so he's in the movie. And that's it. Like that was probably the most awkward ending pause look at the camera I have ever seen, because they kept that shot way too long. But you know, I'm excited to see. I'm really, really excited to see where it goes from here, and especially with pretty much this movie invalidates all the concerns people had for the prequel movies. If you look at it, like you said earlier, you do not have to watch the prequel movies at all. Like there literally is no functional need for those movies to have ever existed. Other than episode 3, you kind of do, but then again, it's still kind of like, well, it would destroy the one big plot twist in Empire Strikes Back. So again, you still figure it out between 4, 5, and 6. So it's kind of like the prequels literally are like they honestly at this point they're pretty much coasters now.
I'm going to tell you, like I told my friends, if you want a prequel story, you need to go to Disney XD and check out the cartoon Attack of the Clones. You're good. That is actually good. You're right. You're right. That is actually good. That Clone Wars show is actually pretty solid. Yes. And Rebels apparently is good too. I haven't watched it, but I heard. Yeah, I haven't seen Rebels yet, but you're good by just watching those cartoons. So Richard, 2016 looks very promising and much better than 2015 ever was. We got X-Men Apocalypse. I'm actually excited about because they actually finally are doing X-Men correct. Yep. We got Independence Day, the sequel. Not too excited about that one. You know what, man? Did you hear that Will Smith's not coming back and they already wrote him out? Yeah. Yeah. The trailer's already out, and I'm telling you, the trailer's anticlimactic. I'm being dead serious. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go see it because it's Independence Day, but I don't even know when this movie's going to get released. I mean, I speculate July 4th weekend. That makes sense.
It's sometime in it's sometime at the end of the year, I'm sure.
Yeah, the movie just doesn't look all that great. Of course, the Civil War. Only thing that I'm upset about the Civil War is that Spider-Man won't be in it, but it's rumored
No, he's
that
in it. No, he's in it.
yeah, he's in it because that's what the rumors going out. And
No,
no,
he's in
shout out
it.
to my sister. She wouldn't tell me before she left that if he's going to be in or not. She'd only told me that they were looking forward to claim the rights from Sony. So okay, that's
No,
good
that
because
he's in it now.
if you read the comic books, Spider-Man plays a huge part in the Civil War. I'm about to go a little bit fanboy, so I'm gonna stop myself. So I'm glad to hear that he's in it. What was another movie that was coming out? Yeah, the conclusion to the Divergent series, but who cares? Nobody saw that.
Yeah.
And there was something else that was big.
Superman
Superman versus Batman. That's been delayed for like 1 or 2 years now.
Yeah, you know what, man? It was funny about it. The first trailer got me excited. The second one took my excitement right out of it. Like I'm not looking forward to that movie. I thought I would, and I actually kind of liked Man of Steel. I think it did things right. There did some things wrong, but I think it did some things right. And I was like, okay, they can probably bounce back from this. And I don't think DC is going to be able to like do anything with it, because if you haven't seen the trailer yet, I think they pretty much spoil the team up effort. Like they already show you what's going to happen. They show you pretty much all 3 acts of the movie in 2 minutes. So all you got to do is figure out like who's still living and who's dead by the end, and then you really don't have to watch that movie. It's sad.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't know much about the Superman and Batman conflict. I do know that they do fight over each other, and Batman like gets like a kryptonite piece of kryptonite and makes it into a batarang to actually defeat Superman. Right. Other than that, I really don't know much. But the only thing that, like you said with the trailer, they already showed you that General Zod's making a comeback. They already showed you that Wonder Woman is coming into it, and Aquaman, and the Cyborg, and I'm just like, you know, Marvel did a great job of showing you how to make a team-up movie. You give origin stories first for people who don't know anything about where does Wonder Woman come from, who is Aquaman, why the Cyborg is half human, half machine.
Right.
You need to give that type of background story for people who are nerds to know what is going on.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of sad, but like Marvel gave you the blueprint. Why are you going against the blueprint? To me, it makes no sense. Like when Puff Daddy was making music in the 90s, everybody followed Puff Daddy's way to break a new artist because it worked.
Right.
And that's what Marvel laid. This is how you make superhero movies. Because before, I would say, what was it, the original Iron Man, every superhero movie that came out that was not named the original Batman and Batman Returns, sucked.
Yeah, pretty much. You're right.
Remember the original Captain America?
Oh yeah, nah. I mean, I don't remember it, but I'm trying not to. Rather,
the original Hulk.
Yeah, that's nah.
They made 5 Superman movies.
Wait, no, I'm saying now you gotta. Oh wait, now Superman 2.
Okay, when he was fighting General Zod and his 2 lieutenants, that was kind of cool. Yes.
All right, Superman 2 was good. That was the only one that I would say is probably worth seeing. But
like, go back and watch the original Spider-Man trilogy.
Spider-Man was good. Okay, let me rephrase that. Spider-Man 1 was okay. 2 was good. They lost it with 3.
Catwoman, Daredevil, Elektra.
Okay, you see now those all. Yeah, those are. Yeah. I'll concede. I'll concede there. So yeah.
I didn't even mention the Fantastic Four.
We don't have to. No. Yeah, we don't have to. We don't have to.
All right, Richard, man. Thanks for coming on the show and talking Star Wars with me. Pretty much, we're going on hiatus for winter break here, people. Don't know when we're going to be back because I don't know what's coming out in January, February. I got a lot of other stuff.
Oh, you know what? I want to say real quick. Did you see Creed?
Yes,
Creed
I did see Creed. Creed was an excellent movie. Creed is another one of those movies. This is bonus footage for y'all, people. Bonus footage for y'all right now. Creed is one of those movies where I was like, it takes the elements that Rocky did well, just like Star Wars did, and just like Jurassic World failed to do, and puts it into perspective in a new setting. Because
Right.
watching Creed, I was thinking, man, this is playing out like an African American or Black Rocky.
Well, it is. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I liked it. I mean, I'd say it's probably one of my favorite movies that I've seen. There really aren't too many movies that were my favorite this year. I mean, I would say if I was going to put at the top of my list this year, Star Wars kind of like gets it somewhat by default, but I would have to say, let me think. You know what? It's like the movies that I remember from this year. You know, it's like you remember Avengers, but it still didn't do anything extremely impressive. It just hit all the marks. But I would say it'd be Star Wars, Kingsman, Ant-Man, and Creed.
See, my top 5 is a little bit different.
Okay.
I'm going to go Mission Impossible 5.
And my 5's in there too, yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Forgot about that one.
Ant-Man, Kingsman, Creed, and the Avengers.
Yeah. Avengers kind of gets there because it did everything right, kind of. Marvel still has to figure out how to do villains. Like, they got to figure that problem out. Like, they got to do that before they get to Thanos, because Thanos is the big bad guy, and if they don't do him right, it's going to just suck. They make Infinity War suck, rather.
Well, I know Infinity War is going to be a 2-part movie, so I'm kind of excited to. So, like, we're 2 or 3 years away from that, but, you know, kind of excited to see that. But, you know. But as always, I enjoyed you on the show today, Richard.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Happy holidays to you and to your family.
Thank you,
Happy
sir.
holidays to all those people out there watching. Oh, I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, buddy.
No, you good. No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah. As you can see, we have our taglines down there, so that's where you can find us. Just going to let you know that the show will be going through a little bit of a metamorphosis for next year, because I'm going to take my full legal name off of the actual channel. Because I've been trying to see how can I move all my old videos from the channel that you see on my tagline, which is like 60 plus reviews. I didn't realize we'd done that many reviews.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh. And we got I think 12 here on the new channel that I have, but the new channel will be the Mind of Q. So stay tuned for that. This is actually my first broadcast on YouTube live. So usually we were doing it through Google Plus, but now
we're
doing it through YouTube.
That works even better.
Yeah, this is actually being promoted on YouTube. So hopefully, you know, we'll pick up some fever. But thank you everybody for watching. I've enjoyed spending 2015 with y'all watching movies. As always, stay classy.